Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of the women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Val also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we sit back, relax, and we talk about good movies. Most of the time. And we're definitely got a good one tonight. We've been off for a couple of weeks because of the holidays. We're back. It's 2026, and we're raring to go. Jed, how's your computer holding up?
It's holding up all right for right now. Actually, better than it has in a long time. So maybe I didn't need to buy a new computer, but such is the way of life, and it's time to upgrade anyway. I got it in 2020. It was built in 2018, though, so I think it's time for an upgrade just in general. But it's great to be here after the time off for the holidays, and we're back with a movie that I wish we would have done sooner. I feel like, has it been a year or 2 years since we did the first one? Because it was around Christmas, wasn't it?
I had it up because I wanted to go in there and check my score for the first one to make sure.
I'd be curious to know what I put as
you scored an 8. For one, you give an 8 on the first one. I wanted to make sure I knew what my score was. But let me. What did I had it up here? I think it was 2023. It's been 2 years.
Okay, so it
February 2020, almost 2 years. Yeah, February 2023 when we did it. It was a while ago. Been a while.
That's almost 3 years.
Well, 2023 to 2024, February 24 to 2025. Shut up.
I actually did that exact same thing, just quietly.
I didn't want to say 2026, 3 years, because it just turned 2026. I didn't want to do that thing where just because it's a 3 and a 6, you're going to say, oh, it's been 3 years. But no, it has almost literally been now 3 years. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hi.
We should have done it a long time ago because these movies are fantastic. I imagine we'll pick the third one much sooner than 3 years from now. Be better at least, because I plan on going through all 4 of them. I love.
I just watched all 4 like a week ago. I did my Christmas Day marathon of all 4 movies, so I didn't watch it.
Still hold up?
Oh, 4 is great. I love all 4 movies. Some people say it should have ended at 3. I think 4 is fine because it's a perfect conclusion. Whatever the
I really like the ending.
Whatever the gestation has been for Lethal Weapon 5, I really hope that it falls through the cracks and Mel Gibson gets distracted by other stuff and does other things.
I think it really depend on how the Passion of the Christ 2 and 3 go for him, because he's still directing, but he hasn't had a real big theatrical release in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had that airplane movie with Mark Wahlberg that just didn't do anything. Nobody cared about that one. I don't know if it was good or not, but like he hasn't been premiered filmmaker for 15 years at this point.
I mean, and here's the thing: Mel Gibson is a great director. We've done Braveheart, and we talk about all the movies he's directed.
Oh,
but
Hacksaw Ridge, that was 11.
Yeah,
years
I was
ago.
him too. Yeah, I was him. Yeah, but this is a Richard Donner franchise, and without Richard Donner, it's not gonna be. It wouldn't be the same.
It's a very different style than Mel's directing. Mel's is a lot more serious, and Donner, he has such an ability for charm. It's one of the reasons why Superman is so great, and this film is just the characters are so likable. There's an instinctual desire to smile through the majority of his films, the ones I've seen at least.
I mean, I've heard conversations be had about every time movies go beyond 1 and 2, and this is the era where you still had a numeral after the title. That's an era that's gone. Nobody slaps numbers behind titles anymore. This was still in that era.
Trying to mix it up, but still put the number there so you can clearly see which order you're supposed to watch it in.
I mean,
but they're hoping you look it up on the internet. They're relying on the internet.
This is the 80s and the 90s where you didn't need a subtitle and you could put a number. And also, this is one of the few franchises, and I looked around, where subsequent sequels didn't go straight to DVD, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. Because all 4 of these movies were full-on theatrical releases and did well. They didn't just dump it on VHS Blockbuster Video back in the day.
And as far as I'm aware, the entire franchise is a lot more positively received and remembered than comparable action franchises like Die Hard.
Yeah.
I hear some people say the second one's good, but after that,
With a Vengeance is great. No, everybody likes With a Vengeance. The third one. People with Die Hard, which they stopped doing that with Die Hard because then they started saying With a Vengeance and then Live Free, and then the fifth one we don't talk about. We don't talk about that one. But that's one where you say after the third one it kind of loses its thing. I mean, fourth one, Live Free or Die Hard, is not a terrible movie, but
it's just not Die Hard anymore.
It sort of is, but it isn't. It's not the same thing. This franchise, Lethal Weapon franchise, is beloved from beginning to end because I think Richard Donner, because the joy that I think the cast had making these movies, you could tell they're having fun. They're enjoying.
Absolutely. Especially once they got their grooves. Like the first movie, there's so much going on. Is this going to be good? These characters developing them. But after that one, it's clear. It's just so much more fun. And I think the movies get funnier as a result. Like two, is way more into the comedic realm. And then in the fourth one, you've got Chris Rock. And unfortunately, I think he's my least liked part of 4. He's fine, but
he's not in it a whole lot. He's in it a little bit, and he's not
as helpful.
It's still Riggs and Murtaugh focused, but it's essentially it's a younger thing, and his plot arc in that one does make sense. But we'll save that when we get there. But here we are, number 2, Lethal Weapon 2. We're essentially, I think this was 86 or 88. When was it?
I'm not sure.
Let me look it up because Lethal Weapon 1 came out in 85, I believe. And Lethal 87. No, I'm sorry, 89. Lethal Weapon came out in 87. This came out in 89. 3 was 92, and 4 was 98. So this is the end of the 80s. Mel Gibson was clinging to the mullet, and he would cling to the mullet for one more. But there is
the mullet works for him better than like anybody else that I've seen.
Yeah, with the exception of Richard Dean Anderson and MacGyver, the mullet worked. And Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell also worked the mullet for a lot of movies in the 80s. He could work the mullet. Some people work the mullet, some people can't. But Mel Gibson could work the mullet, and he ran it for a lot of different movies. It wasn't just for Riggs. He ran that mullet for a few movies. But this 1989, I remember I saw this when it came out because I hadn't even seen Lethal Weapon 1 first. I think this was the first one I actually saw. And then I had to go back and see that because I'm a kid still. But I saw this one first. And, of course, as a kid, you have no idea what's going on. And then you catch up and realize it. But what's great about this movie is that because it's a sequel, you could skip over all the introductory stuff and just dive right into the characters. You don't have to go through origins and this and that. You don't have to spend the first act introducing Riggs and Murtaugh. You know who they are. You know what the dynamic is. They've been partners for 2 years now. Clearly, it's everything's different and what I love about the most is, especially with this movie, and it begins, and it's a trend it really cares about. And I think I mentioned this when we covered the first one, the evolution of Martin Riggs, where you watch his character evolve, change, grow from suicidal to stable to hopeful to happy in the end of it. And it's a great thing. And this one is great because what we get now is, in this one, you get the extra lore. You get that little bit more stuff that carries on. And here's what I love. So, how do you want to do this? This is your choice. How do you want to do this one today?
I don't think there's any real point of going through it beat by beat for the plot.
Let's just give the overall plot. I'll just give the overall plot.
The overall, I think, would be useful right here.
Yeah. So, essentially, the overall plot is Riggs and Murtaugh, they're still LA cops. They inadvertently stumble onto drug smuggling, money laundering operation run by the South African consulate in Los Angeles, who, of course, is in the middle of apartheid in real world. So there's a lot of, let's just say, racial tensions dialed into the movie. But it's appropriate because it was a real thing going on.
But you're black.
But you're black. You're black. I'm black. He is black. I am black, yes. So you get them stumbling into this, and unfortunately, and even when they're taken off the case because of the initial car chase, they are still then pulled back into it because they're put on basically guard duty for somebody who's turning state's evidence. Leo Getz, played by Joe Pesci, and Leo is just an incredible addition to the story. Joe Pesci is fantastic, and he persists through the rest of the franchise. Leo Getz is fantastic. Of course, some of the greatest rants. They fuck you at the drive-thru, or they fuck you at the hospital, and they fuck you with cell phones. It's a different fuck you in every movie from this point forward, but it's great. And eventually, it turns out that Leo is the one laundering the money for the South African consulate, but he got greedy and stole $500 million. Well, he stole some, and then he got caught, and then he turned state's evidence, and he's under police protection. He's going to testify, and they want him. So then the Riggs and Murtaugh get pulled back in, and essentially it's everybody trying to get Leo, and then these South Africans, because they have, as we say, diplomatic immunity.
Which, to be fair, is blown out of proportion. A lot of movies back in the 80s and 90s did this, but they acted like diplomatic immunity was a get-out-of-jail-free card. It has a very narrow scope in reality. It doesn't cover any felonies, as far as I'm aware. Any felonies of any kind, so it's way over the top, but it's done for some great jokes and a lot of tension with Riggs and Murtaugh and the police force, so it drives the narrative, but that is a stretch of my credulity.
But it's there.
Funny.
But so they get thrown back in, and then because of that, you get some outstanding lore. Because it turns out that the head thug who's in charge of being the muscle for the South African consulate ended up being the guy who murdered Riggs's wife. And that's just because Riggs had been getting close to them on a different investigation, and they thought they had taken him out, but it was her. And then you learn she didn't die right away. The guy sat there. Oh, it's hardcore.
This might come as a surprise to everyone, but I don't like coincidences, so I actually hate that lore change.
I love it.
I really hate it. Just how big is this city? How many cops? When stuff like that happens, it makes me feel like the world is tiny and that there's not a scope of characters beyond our view, a world beyond our view. It's just happenstance this villain is personally connected to him from years before. That's overdone as a trope, especially in the second movie, and it's used as a motivation for revenge for Riggs, when I don't think he needs it at all, because he has his girlfriend who dies right there, or his,
love interest.
Love interest die right then in that scene as well. 10 seconds later, he finds her body. He already has more than enough reason to go full, this is personal, kill everyone. He's more than enough reason. and it's a throwaway line in this movie that I think the movie works a lot better if it's just implied research. So they said, "Oh, you know so much about me, don't you?" This henchman's clearly researched Riggs. I prefer the interpretation, and it's my headcanon, that the guy just found out about his dead wife in the car accident and lied about being the one who killed her to fuck with Riggs.
I don't think
that explanation. I know, I agree.
Okay.
That's not the truth.
Yeah.
But that explanation makes it mental torture without being a massive coincidence that doesn't do anything. Like, if you took out that line, I was the one who killed her, and you know, that 10-second moment, there is zero about the plot that's changed.
He does earlier when they first go to the house on stilts, and Riggs says, Martin Riggs. It was there in that moment. That was the beginning of it right there. So it wasn't just thrown in at the end there. It was queued up earlier in the movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect the plot. It doesn't propel stuff.
I think
and
it does.
They already suggest that guy might know him because he's the one who took out the couriers at the very beginning of the movie, and that henchman was already researching Murtaugh. So he might have found Riggs as an extension of that. So it just doesn't. It doesn't.
I know you don't like
anything. It doesn't change anything. It feels tacked on to affect his motivation when there's not a need for that. If the girlfriend hadn't died, sure, whatever. But it's a 1-2 punch where the first reveal is watered down by seeing the corpse a second later.
All right, so here's my counter to this. Of course, I know you don't like coincidences, and I can unaccept it because that is a base thing that you've made clear for the past several years. You don't like coincidences. I don't think it's tacked on. I think it's baked in because it brings Riggs's trauma to a conclusion where in this part of the movie, because it opens the movie makes it clear that Riggs is coming to a point where he's learning to deal with Victoria Riggs' death, where you get that scene with Trish, where about the gold pen, and you could,
which is a great scene.
And you know the gold pen comes back in Lethal Weapon 3. I noticed it in this last rewatch.
Really,
I noticed it when we'll bring it back. We talk about this when they're in uniform with Lethal Weapon 3. He's got the gold pen in his breast pocket, right.
Nice.
He's got the gold pen. So, but see right there, that showed to me that says that Donner and the guys who wrote this with him, they decided to have this be an emotional thing that show you that Riggs, he's not suicidal anymore. He doesn't have that hollow point bullet anymore to get the job done. He has now made peace with it. It still hurts, but he's able to move on because he has found the Murtaughs as his second family. They've helped him heal. He's living a life again, and the fact that he's able to feel an emotional attachment to another woman, the consulate secretary, and get to that point where he can feel something. I think it all ties together where it's very important that it's revealed that the dude killed his wife because it puts him on the edge, because there's that moment where he's on the beach and he's carrying her body, pacing back and forth, and he's almost losing it, but then he calls Roger. After all the other cops have been taken out, except for a couple of the other ones that have been at the station, and he says, "Where you been? Where are you?" He says, and he's just rambling on the phone. They did it. They killed her. They killed them both. This and that. And I think it's important to show that in that moment, Riggs is struggling to maintain his sanity, and he's just going over it over and over again. But when Roger catches up to him at the house of Stilt House. Riggs is in control. It's a cold, controlled rage. So I think it is important that it is baked into the plot and not tacked on, because it shows that Riggs found this out, but he didn't lose his shit and go insane. He focused it. It's cold rage, and it is vengeance. And it's vengeance because it goes to a point where when they're attacking the shipping boat, when he's taking out a bunch of the thugs around there, you hear him shouting the names of not only the cops who've been killed, but Rita and his wife. Because now I think it's important that there's a personal aspect to this, because in concluding this, it closes the chapter on Riggs's previous depression, his mental instability, and his needing for something to latch onto. And it shows that his desire to control himself and latch onto the good stuff that he's found again overrides going too far and losing it and throwing it all away. So I think it is important.
That's a good argument, but I still think all of that is absolutely achieved if you take out that piece of dialogue and the wait, you're Martin Riggs. Take out those moments, and the character arc is unaffected. I think it all still works. And what makes the coincidence harder for me as well is the guy mentions that Riggs was stationed somewhere else when this happened. It's not like they were both LA at the same time. He was at Lakeshore or whatever they called it. So Riggs was at another location, happened to come across the guys who were working out of there for some reason. So there's distance involved in it. It's a stack of coincidences that I ultimately don't feel like changes much because all of his friends are dying, so that gives him the personal connection. The woman that he's been fucking for the last 10 hours dies. That's
a long session. That was
a very long session. But that's more than enough motivation to propel everything forward. And we've already got this arc where he's not suicidal anymore after the first movie. And we see that stability and him coming to terms or controlling his anger in that scene that you're talking about in the transition from talking to Roger on the phone versus showing up at the house with stilts. So I think it's all still accomplished with the same level of quality with the coincidence removed.
Well, we're not going to come to an agreement on this. We see this differently. You make a good point on coincidence, but I still feel it was baked in from the beginning for this chapter of Riggs's story to order to be told properly. So, but it is great, and I love the lore of it, and I love it that we can, because it's a second movie, we don't have to spend time introducing everybody. That whether you think it's coincident or not, whether you think it works or not, I love that you're able to build on it more, and at the same time show that these characters can evolve. Or in this case, this movie, Murtaugh doesn't really evolve much in this movie. This is not a Murtaugh. Murtaugh is there for...
He's comedic relief.
He's the comedic relief.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah, I mean, it's the third movie and the fourth movie third movie of Murtaugh, the retirement arc, and the killing of the kid in the third movie. That's a lot more driving a Murtaugh storyline. In this one, it's just about, okay, he's just still too old for this shit, even though he's not that old by today's standards anymore.
God, he was still he turned 50 in the first movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50 in the first movie. Yeah,
it's still ridiculous to think.
I'm not that far away. I'm not that far away.
Are you too old for this shit yet?
No, I'm not. If I was in shape, I really wouldn't be, but I'm just not in shape.
The make or break thing about sequels that can really create some incredible sequels like this film or Empire Strikes Back or destroy them entirely is that fact that you're talking about, where the origin stories, at least as much as you need them, are there, the characters are established, and you can dive in. It's almost like every sequel starts out in the second act when it comes to characters. Of course, there's still the first act with the overall plot, but the characters are already at their second act points, and that really helps give you time to develop other things, do other things. And not everyone has the talent to deal with that. But when you have a talented writer like in this film or Empire, you can do some great things and even overcome your predecessor. Because there are aspects about this film that I think are better than its predecessor, especially the villain. The villain in the first movie, I don't care about.
It was cliched.
He's cliche. He's non-existent to me. The henchman's more intimidating, so he's the more...
That's Gary Busey. It was Gary Busey, the first one, so it's like
that helps quite a bit. But in this film, I got a character, I got motivation, I got so much from the villain of this movie, so I will say the villain is far and way better. On the inverse, the character arcs, just like you were talking about with Murtaugh, the character arcs in the first movie are a lot stronger, especially the suicide arc of Riggs. This one is just more fun, though.
There's a lot of comedy.
A lot of comedy. This one's, I think, even got more action than the first one. It's a more entertaining film with the better villain. But I think there's a strong argument to be made that it's better than the first one, at least from enjoyment standpoint. From a subjective.
Well, I think definitely from enjoyment standpoint, because the characters are settled. You don't have to work about they're broken in. You can do fun things. I mean, you start with the beginning of the first gag of the movie where Rianne does the commercial. She doesn't tell anybody what it is. It turns out to be a condom commercial. And
it's hilarious. And it comes back later with Joe Pesci.
Yeah. And you have the handyman in the room says, makes me want to go and buy rubbers right now. So, and the boyfriend is afraid and this and that. and it makes it interesting. It makes it fun. And then the cops with the rubber plant with the covered in condoms later on. It's funny stuff. But then because of what's going on, there are great setups. I think what makes this movie great is a lot of the setups and the payoff where they come home for the whole Connor commercial incident. You get the handyman and the nail gun. And then later on, when Murtaugh's fighting for his life, uses the nail gun to kill the guy trying to kill him. I think that's great stuff. I love that stuff. It's good.
And breaks his shoulder.
And the shoulder lore. The shoulder lore comes to play, and the shoulder lore is there for the rest of the franchise. It comes back over and over again, where he either takes too much battle damage. Lethal Weapon 3, he falls off an overpass construction, and he has to bang it back in place. In the fourth one, Jet Li dislocates it during their final battle. He has to knock it back into place in the midst of the fight. So the disco shoulder, of course, it plays a role in this because it's a key thing. That's how he survives the drowning attempt, because he can dislocate his shoulder and get it out of the straitjacket. It also is a great Riggs moment where the psychiatrist says, "Why do you do this to yourself?" Great comedy moment, because none of them will let me do it to them.
And their interactions are great. Yeah. Like, oh, you hear Sigmund von Freud? There's a lot of great I love what they do with the psychologists. It makes sense that they're anti-psychologists in the 80s. It wasn't as popular as it is now, or mainstream or whatnot. But all the comedy bits, one of my favorite ones that I think is one of the most memorable things in the entire franchise is the toilet bomb.
Yes, that is a zeitgeist staple now. Now the toilet, you would know this because you weren't even alive. The toilet thing, that was a key feature of the promotional material during it, that they teased the toilet bomb. Now, of course, nobody knew what it was, and as a kid, I didn't see it, but I remember it being part of the promotional material of him finding Murtaugh on the toilet with the bomb and it blowing up. So that was a key draw early on in the movie, not knowing what's going on there.
That.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic thing. And of course, being an adult now, I think I can think to myself, my God, being on the toilet for that long, my God.
No wonder he can't stand or jump into that tub.
Feel your legs, and it's just, terrible. Just terrible. And now, of course, this movie continues the running gag that goes all the way to the last movie. The destruction done upon the Murtaugh household. Just never ends.
It's in the first one. They drive a car through the front of the house.
And then in this one, there's a bomb. And in the third one, it's termites. There's no destruction from the bottom, but it's termites. And then the fourth one, it burns down. the triads burn it down. So that poor house.
And their car as well.
Oh, yeah. There's a great... Yeah, there's a great
I think
line.
their boat blows up at 1.2, doesn't it?
In the fourth one...
the Murtaugh property is...
An oil can from the Chinese ship rockets up. It lands on the ship. It's his second boat, though. It's not his first one. It's his second one, I think. But there's the gags work. I mean, that's what you mentioned. Something that I think helps the second one maintain a personality and helps carry it forward is these established and welcomed gags. This tradition built in the movie, you can keep it going, and it makes it fun, and you enjoy it. You look forward to it. And the second one set the stage, and the third one, and fourth one carry it on. And it's especially good. We got to talk about Joe Pesci's Leo Getz. The addition of Leo Getz is just fantastic. And this is Joe Pesci, who you got to realize Joe Pesci is actually a really versatile actor. He has
watch Godfather, Home Alone, and Lethal Weapon.
He's not in Godfather. He's Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, excuse me.
Goodfellas, yeah. Goodfellas, yeah. I mean, Joe Pesci has range. Joe Pesci has a ton of range. You wouldn't expect this is a guy in other movies who's a thug that would kill people. This is Leo, who's who can't fight, who can't do anything, and is essentially a punching bag. I mean, the physical abuse that Riggs and Murtaugh visit upon him is great.
Like the broken nose.
Yeah.
I cringe a little, not because it's not funny, just because oh man, that would hurt like a bitch. But yeah, just the physical comedy, throwing him out the window. And I love how just randomly when there's a lull in what they're doing, he starts doing Murtaugh's taxes.
Yeah. He's now got him in a safe house, and it's hysterical. I love it. And you realize as the series goes on, and we'll talk more about this when we go to the other two movies. Leo, he has many jobs. I mean, in this one, he was just a simple accountant launderer, and then he's a real estate agent in the following one. And then he's a private investigator in the final one. But he realized he just knows things, knows people, can get stuff done. And I love it that they just happily incorporate Leo as part of this. And it was just a one and done. Because it's Joe Pesci, and he can do the funny stuff. And I love the relationship of Riggs, Murtaugh, and Leo. I do, even though in this one it's the introduction one, but they still look after him.
Oh, he's the family dog. He's absolutely, that's the way that they look at him. They'll wrestle with him, they'll have fun with him. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, it's clear, even in this movie, that they come to really care for him. Like the moment where he's going to take Murtaugh's car back to the station, and he's like, "Can I turn on the siren?" They're like, "As loud as you want, buddy." It's genuine. That's not even Riggs fucking with him. He's like, absolutely.
And before that, when Riggs is towing the leg off the stilt house and Murtaugh goes to rescue him, as soon as Leo sees Murtaugh, he's going like this. He's bouncing him down. He's like, "He got to rescue me! He got to rescue me! Thank you!"
He loves them. And the idea that the subsequent movies, it's more that he keeps self-inserting himself into everything that's going on while he's still in the movies. Not necessarily because he has a personal connection. He's just like, "I love these guys."
But not to talk about it in detail, his final scenes in 4 are so important. And it's an incredible moment.
It's been several years.
Oh, it's an incredible Leo's moment. His final scene with Riggs at Victoria's grave at the 4th one is incredible, and it brings it all home. And how important it is, and it's great. It's fantastic. So the intricate Leo and the performance of Joe Pesci is just so much fun. It's so much fun, and I love the. I mean, it's always a funny thing because you get, as I mentioned before, his first tirade. They fuck you in the drive-thru. And here's the thing, he's right. He is absolutely right. I have, back in the day when I used to willingly do drive-thru, I stopped doing it. Granted, I don't eat out much anymore. But when I do, I'm that guy. I will walk in and go get it because I know they're going to fuck you the drive-thru. Because I remember, of course, this is years later in the 90s, but he's absolutely right. They know you're going to be miles away before you look at it. Because we went to McDonald's, bought a whole bunch of stuff, opened it up. I ordered this back when McDonald's hamburgers, the basic ones, were 59 cents a pop. Supposed to be a bag full.
The 50s then, huh?
Shut up. Anyway, and back full, open up, and it's mostly cheeseburgers, not hamburgers. But we had gone through drive-thru, so nobody looked. So they fuck you in the drive-thru. They know you're going to be miles away before you look. You're not going to turn or go back because they don't give a damn. So it's great. And it's funny.
Ties to the tuna gag.
The tuna gag, too. I was going to say, yeah, it's the tuna gag. Don't eat the tuna. I'm not going to eat tuna. I don't want tuna. Shut up! So it all works. And even then, of course, the abuse to Trish's car. "Oh, I'm hungry. You guys want to get something? Yeah, I'm paying. You're paying. Okay." They pull over, opens the door into traffic, and a car comes by and just takes it off. It's just these gags, because who takes their wife to a car chase in the beginning of the movie? His wife's car to a car chase.
Well, he fixed a siren to it, so it's not an unusual thing. I don't know, like, if his car was in the shop or something and he had to temporarily use it, but I love the moment at the very beginning where the car chase is happening and they radio in back into the police station, and the captain's like, "Yeah, it's Murtaugh and Riggs in pursuit. Hey, $20 to catch him. What's he driving?" It's Murtaugh. He's driving his wife's station wagon. Oh, fuck. No. It's, no. I take it back.
Yeah. And that guy, that actor, the old guy, the bald guy who makes that bet, he's a detective in this movie, but in the 3rd movie, he runs a hamburger shack. He's not the detective. Yeah, he's not a detective. That's reusing him. Same actor, different characters. I wonder
what he did.
I don't know, but he's not a detective in that one. He's just a hamburger shack owner in the 3rd one. But yeah, so it's all these things. It all works, and it all works together to make a thoroughly enjoyable movie, which, of course, this is 1989. they still knew how to make action movies without CGI. Everything in this movie, it's all practical. All practical.
Pulling the house down off the stilts, that is an insane set piece.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. And of course, like you said, no CGI, so they practically pulled down a house down a mountain.
This is the era where things were built to be destroyed. Money was
Built
spent
to be destroyed, or miniatures.
Oh yeah, built to be destroyed or miniatures, but they built these things to be destroyed, and that explosions. And you don't. And here's one thing I do respect. I think I mentioned it in the first one, and I respect it in this one and the following movies. They respect ammo. They respect counting how much you fired. Clips are replaced. You run out of ammo. This and that. They respect it. They keep track of it, and I love that about these movies. I do. It's great. But so that leads to of course, one of the crowning achievements of this franchise. The action set pieces are glorious.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Especially the final fight with the on the ship. But I can't think of one that I didn't think was epic in scale.
Now, in this one, they do a good job. They keep it in shadow, so they're using the stunt doubles. Of course, I've seen these movies so many times that I know exactly when it's stunt switch, and I see it. But they do a good enough job that it's quick cuts and this and that, and it's not too much, but they know how to hide it well, and they do a good job of it. And everything, here's the thing, because this is 80s, it feels real. Everything feels like it's really happening. Car chases, gunfights, pulling down houses, all this stuff. And it works.
It holds up. It looks better than modern movies with CGI. It feels real, just like you're saying. I think this is a higher quality movie from even just taking the script out, taking the performance out, just from the technical side, from the majority of the things we get these days. And that's not just a modern perspective about, recency bias or anything like that. I genuinely think practical effects, 9 times out of 10, when possible, of course, just look better and hold the test of time better. Like the thing, when we watch The Thing, all those practical monstrosities, I don't think I'm going to be as terrified as of a CGI monstrosity as what we saw in that movie. I know they're real. I see them interacting with their environment. They're matching the film grain. It just feels so tactile. Old movies used to be tactile. Modern ones,
good way to put it.
It feels like it's a projection. It feels like it's missed.
It's the uncanny valley.
Exactly.
You see it and you're immediately taken out because you're not watching something real. In this stuff, even when it's stuntmen, I'm watching something real. I know it's a car chase. That explosion, that fire, that's a real explosion that they did on set. That they put the practical effects makeup of bleeding and battle damage on all these guys. And of course, it's the attention to detail. Whatever you see Riggs, from the first movie to this one to all the way to the fourth, they make sure they have the Special Forces tattoo every time. They make you see it. In the third one, they will come back. He'll show you the scars because when we'll just say when Adolf shoots him, the 45s, he shows in the third movie, they remember where he got shot. He shows the leg wound where he stabs him in the leg there and is grinding it around in that final fight there. It's attention to detail. Richard Donner and his people remember these things and remind you, yes, we don't forget, because we know you don't forget because you love this stuff and you enjoy the hell out of it and you love these characters and it's great. And all it's all choreographed perfectly. And it's so much fun. And here's something I've noticed. I noticed this time. I noticed it for 3 and 4, but I didn't notice it for this one because I was paying attention a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it was the first one because I wasn't paying attention last couple weeks ago, but what's paying this? Do you know who's playing the guitar in every single one of these movies for Riggs' theme, the guitar? Because we talked about in the first movie that everybody has their own instrument as their theme. Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton.
Really?
Clapton did the music for at least three out of these 4 movies. I don't know if he did it for the first one because I wasn't looking, but he was involved with the music for this one and definitely the third and the fourth one. When we get to the third one, I love the Clapton songs in the third one. The intro theme for the third one, it's so good. It's so good. So Eric Clapton, one of the best guitarists for classic rock, was doing the guitar work. And then you could hear, when you hear it, you realize that's why it sounds so crisp, so good, so on point, because you got a master musician like Eric Clapton strumming those strings. So that when you this shows you they're getting quality. Richard Donner is getting quality at every level.
It's
to make sure this movie's to make sure it's an experience. It's an experience to enjoy these movies, and these movies are meant to be enjoyed from beginning to. These are one of the few movies, all 4 of them, I will watch from opening credit to final credit. I will go through the whole.
Fucking good. This is back in the era when I would consider this an 80s roller coaster movie. When it's just, hey, have a great time, have some laughs, have some fun. Don't think about it too much. And yeah, just highs and lows, and just you come out of there smiling. Compare that to modern roller coaster movies, and there's no depth, there's no talent. They're just trying to blind you with craziness. Shock value is the only tool in their arsenal. These 80s ones, they were people of talent at every level, just like you're talking about. They brought their A game. They cared. They put it all on the line for these massive products. It's not like it is these days. I really hate modern roller coaster movies. Like most superhero movies these days, Fast and Furious, Avatar, there's no depth, there's no substance, there's no storytellers.
And you know what's good about this too, with a storytelling narrative aspect? Our heroes are not stupid. They're smart.
No.
And
they play stupid for fun, like with Joe Pesci a couple times.
Yeah, but in every one of the movies, though, Riggs and Murtaugh make smart decisions, and they solve the crimes, and they figure shit out. They're
actually
not
detectives.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Movies should take note of Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon balances out detective work with action very well.
Yeah, they figure this shit out. They figure it out in all 4 movies. There's always detective work done because they are detectives, and they're solving crimes.
I just want to say, I don't know how people who were raised on movies like Lethal Weapon 2 and just a bunch of 80s, 90s action movies, and Breaking Bad's usually their favorite TV show, they don't understand what money laundering is. I come across so many adults who don't understand the basics of money laundering.
Really?
They're just like,
it's a simple
that's
process.
How they get money.
No. Here's the illegally gained money. To avoid being caught and having to pay taxes on it, you create a front. And you funnel the money through it to make it look like it's legitimately earned, and then it gets cleaned and it makes it look normal, and then they pay themselves back the money. It's that's money laundering.
They normally do that with cash businesses, like arcades,
laundromats,
something like that. Laundromat.
That was the 80s version. The laundromat was the 80s version.
But I think Joe Pesci explained it very well in that scene at Murtaugh's house, and that scene's just hilarious in general. But he also, I believe they did show a great example of him being an innovator, like he's talking about. He's basically pretending to be a loan shark to launder money. And it's tax deductible laundering. Like, it is actually genius what he's doing. So it shows his level of conniving intelligence. And I think it's a great way to set up his character and why he'd still be useful going forward. And his ability to get all those crazy jobs that you're talking about in 3 and 4. It's completely justifiable with how intelligent they showed him in just his money laundering and accounting.
Leo is useful in every movie. He's key in the 3rd movie to finding the villain in that one. In the 4th movie, they use him creatively against the antagonists for a fantastic comedy scene in a Chinese dentist office. It's all done well, and it's all performed well, and it's so much fun. And that is the bottom line. These are movies that were made by people who know how to make movies, people who knew how to who knew how to cast to make good movies, write good movies, and have fun. That is the bottom line. These movies are fun. And this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I have my 4-pack behind me on the shelf. I got it for a deal a couple of years ago on Black Friday. I think I got it for $10 or $12, all 4 movies in 1 pack. And I was a little nervous because I didn't know if they were going to have the first movie be edited or not. And as soon as I heard certain words used, like, okay, it's the right one. It's the right one. I know it's the right one. It's not the, because I saw when I was trying to find the right pack to buy, some people were saying, oh, it's the TV sanitized version of the first one. This and that. I'm like, oh, I don't want that. But as soon as I put it in,
I told you last week, I saw the sanitized version first, and it's a different movie. There are some good titties in Lethal Weapons too. Don't want to miss out on those. The
titties disappear by the 3rd one. There are no more titties in the 3rd one, but it's still as it's still R-rated for action and violence and language and stuff like that. But yes, there were titties in the first and second one. But you got into I think I think by the third one it got a little more mainstream. And
the 90s were just moving away from nudity. The 70s especially, but the 80s were riding the coattails of nudity being expected almost.
Well, in the 90s, nudity moved to B movies on late night Cinemax and HBO and stuff like that. It became a whole industry for straight to VHS titty movies. It was an entire industry, and I watched them all as a young man. Because hey, what else was I going to do? So by then you didn't need to have them in your R-rated movies anymore, and so they shifted it around. And it was
gratuitous nudity.
It was an agreement that everybody was happy with because you rented those B titty movies, Bikini Car Wash Company, and all those kinds of movies. That's a great old one. All those ones you watched those because you knew what you were getting. Just shallow plot. Big tits, simulated sex. That's all you were there for. Now you get to the 90s, you want your action movie. You're there for an action movie. Gratuitous nudity is fine, but you're there for the action. You're not necessarily there for the titty and the stuff like that. And also at the time, for Lethal Weapon 3, Rene Russo was not going to get naked. She get naked to Thomas Crown Affair, which we have already talked about on this channel, which by then she's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go full naked now. I don't care anymore. But back then, 92, she was not going to go topless for a love scene with Riggs in Lethal Weapon 3. But this movie's great. I love it. It's so much fun. And I'll watch probably all 4 movies at least twice a year. I'll go through them all. My Christmas Day tradition, because what else am I going to do Christmas Day? Play video games, watch movies. That's what I'm going to do. And some point later on this year, I will have downtime and I'll put one in. And then, as we've said, you watch one, you got to watch them all. Especially if you have them all right on hand.
That's what we're doing this weekend. My wife and I, we're going to go through the rest of them.
Yeah. See, me, I'm watching anime this weekend. That's what I'm doing because I got anime to watch. But all right. So you have anything else you want to toss in here on this?
No, I'm ready for final thoughts.
All right. Well, it is your week, so you get to go first.
Perfect. Well, this movie and this franchise in general, like we mentioned, is just pure and masterful escapist entertainment. You're going to have an excellent time watching it. It's going to be so much fun. And like I mentioned, I think there is a legitimate argument for this movie being more enjoyable than the first one. But things like the more shallow character arcs, which isn't necessarily a problem, and that massive coincidence, I think brings it down just a tad when it comes to the objective writing versus the first film. So I have to bring it down just a little bit and give this one a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. All right. I like this movie as much as the first one. It's essentially just the continuing adventures. I have as much fun with this one as I do with the first one. A little more comedy, but to me, it's just the evolution of the genre of the thing. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 like I gave it the first one, with looking forward to how I'm going to score the other two. So I want to make sure, because I like these two, but I like 3 and 4 better.
Really?
Yes, I like 3 and 4 better. There's something about 3 that I really enjoy, and I just love the complete storytelling of 4. From a storytelling purpose is why I love 4 so much, because you're completing it. It gives a proper ending. Proper ending. So we'll get to those. Okay, so I'm down to 2 choices for next week.
All right.
I'm gonna play the game I played with Derby with you now. I'm gonna play the game. I'm gonna give you a chance to choose. Both are good dad movies, or at least one is an attempt at a dad attempt to be good dad movies. Both have a little bit of sci-fi to them. And just to give you, I don't want to give it away. One is can be seen as kind of current day, present day. Another one would be a little more futuristic, a little more in the little bit near future with what it deals with. And here's the kicker. So one stars. I just had their names. Crap. I hate it when this happens. Plays Wolverine. What the fuck is his name?
Hugh Jackman.
One stars Hugh Jackman, and the other one stars names. I have them and I lost them. It stars Jim Caviezel and And fuck, I just forgot his name. It stars Jim Caviezel and fuck. Hang on.
What's the other guy in?
I know his name. I'm having a problem here. Hang on. I can get this. Everybody stop looking at me. Dennis Quaid. Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid. So you want Jim Caviezel, Dennis Quaid, more present day, little bit of sci-fi to it, or Hugh Jackman, a little bit in the future, sci-fi. Both are good dad stories. Both are somewhat good dad stories. Which one do you want?
If it's Hugh Jackman in the near future, I'm guessing that's Real Steel.
Yes, that is Real Steel.
That is Real Steel.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what the Jim Caviezel Dennis Quaid one is. I don't know of any movie that they did together.
Okay.
So I know enough about Real Steel to not really be as interested in that one. So I'm going to go with the Jim Caviezel.
All right. So we're going to do Frequency.
Frequency. Yeah, I don't know what that
Frequency.
is.
A little bit time travel aspect, but time travel without time travel. It'll make sense when you watch it. It's a good movie. Good little bit of mystery thriller. Jim Caviezel, Dennis Quaid, father, son. It's good stuff. I like this movie. It's a good, solid movie. Fantastic ending. Good stuff. It's a good dad story. So we're going to do Frequency for next week. So there you go, guys. That's all we got for you today. I am too old for this shit. My memory. I got a lot going through my head today, so I'm a little. When I have so many names running through my head, and I had it all set up before I sat down to do this, but we've been talking so much stuff, it got cluttered up, and I couldn't grab them. They're like right there, and I retarded. And
it happens.
Leave me alone. Don't look at me like that. Anyway, so we're done for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. We hope you had a good time. Hit those like buttons, subscribe to the channels, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take it easy, everybody.